This is the ABQ Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit that's in every entrepreneur. Discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together for a new future for local small business.
We are going to talk about today the two most dangerous words. Now, these words are a symptom of what's actually happening inside of you. And many of you know I talk about Gay Hendricks a lot. And if you haven't looked at his books, I encourage you to do that. He talks about this as these being the most dangerous words. And it causes us to be unhappy. It causes us to quit when we need to persevere. It causes us to have battles of depression. It causes us to look to the past constantly. It disables us from being truly successful and understanding who we are truly as a person. So you're like, okay, Jason, what are these two most dangerous words? Well, we'll get to that. But first, I want to thank my sponsor. No, I'm teasing. I love that. We do have some sponsors. We'll get to those here in a second. But I want you guys to understand that when you say these two words, there's a switch that's happening in your brain, and it's causing you to turn around and go in the opposite path that you should be walking, to go in the opposite direction you should be walking. And some of you, it's causing you just to sit on the ground with your hands in your hair, or like me, if you don't have hair on your head, and, cry or get depressed or feel those emotions of self-pity, because that's really what all those are, is being self-absorbed, self-pity. I know for me, with my bouts of depression that I fight, and I've shared that openly with you guys, for me, whenever I get depressed, it's a time, one, for me usually to relax. I've been doing too much. So I'll hide in a dark room and watch horror movies or movies in general and eat bad food. I'll give myself this one break, and I'll do that for an afternoon or afternoon, however. And then I wake up in the morning, I fall asleep, wake up in the morning, and I usually feel great and I'm over it. It's just like a little wave that passes. But most of the time, that's just me being ultra selfish. That's what I found for me. My depression, when I get depressed, it's just me being super self-absorbed, thinking of all the wrongs that have happened to me. So let's get to the two most dangerous words. The two most dangerous words are if only. If only. And it actually distracts us when we say these two words, because what begins to happen, and Gay Hendricks talks about this, what begins to happen is we begin to look for answers outside of ourselves. And so we're looking to the past, and we're forever trying to change things around us, this external stimuli of how others behave, of how this could have happened if this would have gone good, and I should have done this. And we all know those people that talk about the same story and over again, like where they were a high school athlete, or I knew a couple and they had met at a summer camp, and they were counselors and stuff like that. And every time got together with them, they had to bring up camp stories, and they would look at each other and giggle and laugh. And it was, like sickening sometimes. But they're really nice people. I shouldn't say that, but it was just kind of like the inside joke. And you felt kind of like, why should I even be here right now? Do I need to leave? Do you guys need a room? But everything all the time was camp this, camp that. They wore like camp looking clothes. It was just weird. So they were like living in the past and living on these memories that made them feel better, because of the current life that they're living in is not as happy as they were in those moments in the past. And we all have if only moments. We've all done it. We've all, if only I would have done this, then, this could have happened, and I would have been with this person, or I'd have been at this job, or I'd have been in this city. I would have moved here. You can't do that, because if only you have to understand, in this multi-universe and these many dimensions that are out there, you can't predict this long tail of these river just channels just going from one to the next, and the water all flows and immersive. And I don't want to get really philosophical here, but you can't predict the future. Tell yourself 5 years ago that you'd be where you're at now. Look back from now to 5 years ago. You're like, holy shit. I didn't even know where Albuquerque was. If you would have asked me on a map, where is Albuquerque? I could not have told you. I was living in Seattle. I was comfortable. Everything was going good. Washington State, that's where I was planning on staying, and I would have been. And then I moved to the totally opposite place in Albuquerque, New Mexico. How the hell did that happen? I would have laughed if you would have told me that I would be moving here. So we don't know. So the if only, it's fool's gold. It's not real. It's fake. It just puts us in a mood that causes defeatism. So what begins to happen is we think that this external stimuli or these people, they could have made us feel better in our own lives. Notice I said own lives. So we believe that our relationships, our work, our health could be better if only this would have happened a certain way. If only there weren't this problem, and this was in the way. And so it turns us from the one thing that can change, how we feel about ourselves, and how that we can look inside of ourselves and take personal responsibility, because you have all the power to change inside of you. That's just on you. But when you begin to think that you can't change, and so you think it's based off of others and our surroundings, then you begin to put yourself in this self-imposed prison. You put your handcuffs on. Think about this. You put mental handcuffs on. You walk yourself to a jail cell. You take the key in your hands because you got your handcuffs in front of you. Imagine that. You put in there, you shut the gate, and you put the key in there, you lock it, and then you take the key with both your hands because you're handcuffed, and you throw the key as hard as you can. And now you're stuck. Now you're depending on somebody else to let you out, right? And you can't do hardly anything with being handcuffed. So you're just waiting and hoping that someone will show up. But why did you do that? Why did you do that to yourself? You didn't have to. No one is dependent upon your happiness. And I know that sounds harsh to some of you, but I want you to get this. You are the only person that can make yourself happy. You are the only person that can take responsibility enough in your life to make the decision to decide right now that I'm going to be happy. Not I'm going to be happy in the future. I'm going to be happy now. And this person and this person and this happened and this happened, and I get all that. But the past is just an emotion. It's not reality. Understand that. The past is an emotion that you give a prescription to it. That's why you feel the emotion that you do. If only. You have to understand that it is from directly within that makes the ultimate change. Because to feel at peace and fully content with your life, you have to understand who you are and how much you care about yourself. You're like, care about myself? What does that mean, Jason? Being content with yourself. Everybody says, you need to love yourself. You need to love yourself. And I get that. I understand that. But being content with yourself, being able to sit in a dark room and close your eyes and like yourself, to ask yourself this: do I like myself? Is this the person that I think I should be? Who I'm acting as now. Notice the word acting. Who I'm acting as now, because we all have these scripts from the past that we run on. And these plays that we think these drama plays that we think that we need to do, that's based on imprints from religion and parents and school and what we're supposed to do and the rules that are in place. Fuck the rules. Are you happy? Are you truly happy? Because the if only game, the if only I could make a little more money, if only I could afford this or this, if only I could have, a nicer car. If only I could remodel my house and do this for my backyard and do this kitchen and do this. If only I could take this vacation to Europe and backpack. And if only I could get my husband or my wife or my partner or my kids to do this, then I could relax. Then I could be somebody. Then I could ... The if only causes you to settle. The if only causes you to feed your despair. The if only makes you feel unhappy all the time. And I know there's some of you out there right now that are listening to this, because I'm thankful for all of you. My podcast has been growing. And I know there's some of you, and you guys play the if only game all the time. And you're miserable, and you're discouraged, and you're depressed. And you're just like, Jason, I don't know how to break free from it. How do I break free from this if only game that I've been playing with myself? Well, you have to understand the if onlys are only symptoms of the real problem. So you need to get clear about the real problem. You need to focus on a solution that works, that really, really works. And that is understanding who you completely are. It's doing the dirty work of going inside your head and knowing exactly who you are, what you want, things that are acceptable and things that are unacceptable. And you're not going to go off your past. You're going to go off of the intuition that's God-given, that's in you. Chronic unhappiness, chronic depression, chronic anxiety, which 80% of the world is experiencing in their life, is really related to how we feel about ourselves. I cannot say that enough. It is how you feel about yourself. And to be fully content, to be fully peaceful with who you are, you have to begin to learn to have the conversations with yourself. People say, oh, don't talk to yourself. That's bullshit. I do that all the time. Journaling is a form of talking to yourself and writing out. Maybe you love doing that. Getting a journal out and writing not just the good things, but the bad things. The black and the white, the yin and the yang. The polarity, like I talked about last week. Go back and listen to that one. The opposites. Those are things that you need in your life. And I know it's hard to know what true love is for yourself. I know it's hard to know how to accept yourself. And I know some of you just think that you automatically do. So what are the signs? What are those things that show up with everyone that has issues with these two most ridiculous words? Well, sign number one, Gay Hendricks talks about this. You run yourself ragged trying to be everything to everyone. Boss sends you last minute, do this, and you run around and you do it even though it's going against, the time that you needed to work out in this, but you know that you feel sick unless you do these things. You will run yourself ragged with your kids and let them take advantage of you and your time, and you put them first because you don't like yourself. So you don't want to deal with yourself. So you just feel your life full of running around errands from here to here to here to here, just pleasing everyone. You will volunteer to keep your neighbor's dog, even though you don't have any time to, and you have to rearrange your whole schedule to just figure that out because you can't say no to anyone. You say yes, even though your time, energy, and desire is a no. You need to learn that you cannot please everyone, and you are not everything to everyone. And no is the most powerful word right now that you need to use. No is the most powerful word right now that you need to use. And you think the problem is you. I need to do this better, and I need to do this, and I need to be more organized, and I need to plan more, and I've got so much on my plate that I've got to do this, and it's just self-deprecating. You see, the problem is that you're not caring for yourself. So you have to prove yourself. And you have to prove something to someone all the time. I need to be a good husband. I need to be a good wife. I have to be a good parent. I need to be a good employee because I have to do these things. And then they turn around and tell me, good job, and pat me on the head. And then I can smile because I just got my affirmation from them externally. And it makes me feel better because I really know what I feel like inside about myself. Sign number 1, you run yourself ragged trying to be everything to everyone. Sign number 2, and then we'll be done when I keep this podcast short. You never feel like you're enough. No matter what you do, you never feel like it's enough. You don't have any meaning, and you don't ever really truly feel like you're enough. So people really truly never respect you. No one that is so close to you that you sacrifice so much for, they don't love you. No matter how much you do, it never satisfies them. And they always want more, more, and more. It's that sinking feeling you get when you went out of your way and did something for someone and they're not appreciative of it. It's when someone gives you a compliment and you don't believe them because you're convinced that everybody else is awesome and doing great things, but that you could never really experience that. The only thing that you think you're good enough for is a mediocre marriage relationship. And it's at work, it's the same way. You contribute so much, but you just never feel respected. You never feel appreciated. Did I say the right things? I think I'm a bad parent. You give most of your time to your children and you think that you're a bad parent. You don't like the way you look or how you feel. You can't give up on habits that are bad for you. Your health is something that you'll get to hopefully someday. And you really think that all the problems you have in your life are external. That you chose the wrong partner. That you have a horrible boss. Love those movies, by the way. That your kids are just, demons. But really, it all stems down to how you feel about yourself. All of these, the broken relationships, the career setbacks, the health issues, all of that stems from you saying the 2 most horrific words we could ever say, if only.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share and go to abqpodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.